are they born or made? Who think that leadership skills is something that we're born with, that some of us are just innately born with? Hands up if you think that. Got a few hands. Who, on the other hand, think that leadership is a skill that can be learned? Most people there. I don't need to do my speech then. Madam Toastmaster, fellow members, and most welcome guests. Over the past few years, as a member of Toastmasters International, I have been very privileged to see for myself that leadership is a skill that all of us can learn, one step at a time. And funnily enough, leadership actually takes many different forms, but can be boiled down into three essential components: vision, communication, execution or realization. Vision. What does having a vision mean? Is it not something like that prophets and luminaries say, like, I have a vision that the world will come to an end on Valentine's Day 2017. There's 4 hours left to live, guys. Let's make the most of it. But if we all look at famous leaders, one very thing they had in common was a very powerful sense of vision, a why that was powering them and animating them. Martin Luther King has this famous vision of the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owner playing together in the same shared playground. Today, Elon Musk in the US has his own vision, saving the future of mankind by colonizing Mars and harnessing solar power. Quite a big deal. But how can all of us develop our own visions for all organization or ourselves? Begin by asking a simple question. Why? Why is it that you care passionately about something? And what could be the impact of this vision being fulfilled onto others? Just unleash your vision in the wider world and imagine what the impact could be. It is a process that all of us can follow. Your vision must be specific enough and simple enough that everyone can pass on the message and take it as their own, and in effect do your work for you, so to speak. But how do you fulfill a vision into reality? There goes the communication part. Communication, an underrated skill in many respects. This is where we take the vision and start spreading it all around to others, to pass on a message. Simplicity and clarity are key here. The simpler and the clearer the message is, the easier it will be for others to embrace the message, almost claim it as their own, pass it on to their friends, their neighbors, and do have a snowball effect. But another good way also is public speaking. When we think about famous leaders, we think about someone standing on a stage in front of a crowd making a speech. But why? Because when you're standing in front of a crowd, when you're making a speech, you are in authority. You are in charge. You're almost by default the leader. Winston Churchill was a very famous leader in World War II. He led the United Kingdom to victory, and he was also a great speaker. But once upon a time, when he was younger, he was neither a good leader nor a great speaker. Not at all. He didn't join Toastmasters because it didn't exist at the time. So he had to do everything the hard way, learning one step at a time, by working through the night on his various drafts of speeches. No manual to say, get to the point. How to use vocal variety to add music to your audience ears, and gesture to make something powerful. Now comes the final part, realization. And this is really where your vision starts to become the work of others. Because teamwork makes the dream work, as they say. It sounds a bit cheesy, but it's a lovely saying. How can it happen? How can it be possible? Well, the first step in your vision is that effectively you need to have a roadmap, almost like a bigger picture that charts the path ahead. And then your team will be painting all the smaller detail in this beautiful picture to turn it into reality. Elon Musk's vision of going to Mars, what does it mean? It means cheap rockets, therefore it means reusable rockets, therefore it means making them very cheap indeed. All kinds of people with various skills are engaged in this amazing endeavour. But they're all united in one purpose because they have this powerful sense of vision, which is important because at the realization stage, it's easy to miss the wood from the trees sometimes and to say, oh, get bogged down into this smaller detail, these micro thing. But remember that everything must fit together neatly into a much bigger picture indeed. Just like a beautiful painting or a beautiful piece of machinery, I like to see it as almost a mechanical watch, where you've got some really intricate parts. And actually clockmaking was one of the drivers of the Industrial Revolution in this country. Over the past few years in Toastmasters, I have been very privileged to learn many of these things, in particular through my high performance leadership project that was presiding over the creation of this club and later on turning it into one of London's best. Nowadays, I'm coordinating 20 clubs and 600 members in West London. But I still have a lot to learn. My journey of leadership has only just started, and I have a lot more to learn still. But I can nevertheless say one thing. I can stand on this stage and say to all of you, I am a leader, and I was made in Toastmasters.